Here is part 1 of your story, written in third person, using simple and basic English and kept around 1,000 words. It serves as a standalone document for the first part of The Deathworld Council Studied Human Biology. Then, Shrieked. Part 1. First Contact, Last Warning. In the cold dark of space, far beyond Earth's sky, something old and powerful was watching. The Deathworld Council had seen many things. They were made up of species from planets so dangerous, only the strongest could survive. These worlds had acid storms, crushing gravity, or oceans full of teeth. Life on those planets evolved to be fast, smart, and deadly. The beings who lived, they were not kind. They knew pain, they knew war, and they knew how to survive. The Council's job was to study life across the galaxy. But more than that, it was to judge it. Some species were weak and harmless, others were threats. The worst ones were the ones that could change, quickly, dangerously. Those kinds of species were called Deathworlders. Earth had just been labeled one of them. It started with a signal. A long time ago, humans sent out messages into space. They launched metal boxes filled with pictures and sounds. Later, they sent bigger boxes farther into the stars. The Council ignored them at first. They thought Earth was too wild, too broken. Its surface was always changing. Storms, volcanoes, ice ages. It was a planet that tried to kill its own life. But then came the probes. Small ships built by humans flew past Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Then came the landers on Venus and Titan. Then orbiters, rovers, and finally people. Real humans left Earth and went to the moon. Then they stayed in space longer, built homes up there, and now they were building ships that could go to other stars. That got the Council's attention. The Council met in a ring-shaped station above a dying sun. Each member sat in their own pod, floating in liquid that kept them alive. Their voices came through speakers, translated into all languages, at once. "We have watched this world for centuries," said Virex Soln, the lead biologist. His voice was like wind over sand. "We thought it was unstable, too chaotic, a failed world. But now?" asked another, whose name sounded like clicking glass. "Now we see patterns, evolution, adaptation, aggression. They are primitive," said a third. "They use fire and metal. They fight each other often." "Yes," said Virex. "But they do not die. Not easily. And they learn. Fast." The screen lit up with images. A man pulling others from rubble after an earthquake. A child surviving a disease that should have killed him. Soldiers walking with broken legs, still fighting. "They hurt themselves," said a fourth voice. "On purpose." Virex nodded. "Yes, they call it sports. They break bones, bleed, suffer, and they come back stronger." Silence filled the room. Then the leader of the Council spoke. Her name was Kayla Threx, and her species had survived 3 extinction-level events. "This world must be studied again," she said. "If what you say is true, this species may be unlike any before." "And if they are a threat?" asked someone else. Kayla looked at the image of a human city. Lights blinked everywhere. People moved like ants. Loud machines flew overhead. Music played from tiny boxes. Children laughed. "They already reached for the stars," she said. "If they keep growing, they will reach us next." So the Council made a decision. They would send a team to Earth. Not to attack, not yet, just to watch, to take samples, to understand. The mission was called Project Echo 7. The team was small, 5 members, all experts in biology, behavior, and survival. Their leader was Dr. Virex Soln. He was calm, smart, and curious. He believed knowledge was better than fear. His second in command was Clera Neth, a xenopsychologist. She wanted to know why humans did the things they did, even when it hurt them. Third was Zen Marlowe, a field medic. He had treated wounds from wars, plagues, and poison. He wanted to see how humans healed. Fourth was Oren Dax, a tech specialist. He could make machines blend into any world, And fifth was Tali Rowe, a linguist. She had learned dozens of languages. Now she wanted to speak like a human. They traveled in a small ship shaped like a leaf. It could hide in clouds, mimic weather, and land without sound. They chose Earth's northern hemisphere, a place called Colorado. Cold, high up, quiet. There were towns nearby, but not too big. Perfect for observation. As they landed, Clara looked out the window. "I don't like this," she said. "Why?" asked Zen. "Their eyes," she whispered. "I've seen their eyes. They're full of fire." Zen didn't answer. He just watched the trees bend in the wind. Back on the station, the council watched everything. They waited. They listened. One elder, a being covered in chitinous plates, turned to Kayla. "If we are wrong," he said, "we may bring doom upon ourselves." Kayla stared at the live feed from Earth. "We are not wrong," she said. "We are just late." And with that, the first alien team in decades began its mission. They didn't know what they'd find, but soon they would learn. Humans were not. Like other species, they were something else, something new, something terrifying. Here is a part 2 of your story, written in now third person, using simple and basic English, and kept around 1,000 words. This continues the tale of the Deathworld Council studied human biology, then Shrieked. Part 2, Arrival Under Cover. The alien team landed quietly. Their ship touched down in a forest clearing far from any town. It made no sound, no smoke, just a soft hum as it settled into the dirt like a leaf falling from a tree. They waited until night before stepping out. Dr. Virek Soln was first. He wore a human form now, tall with short hair and calm eyes. His skin looked real. His clothes were bought from a store online using fake money that seemed real to humans. The others followed, all wearing different faces they had copied from Earth records. Clarineth looked around with wide eyes. "This air," she whispered. "It's full of smells." Zen Marlowe sniffed. "Sweat, fire, meat, trees." Oren Dax adjusted his earpiece. "Local radio signals are weak here." "Good." Tali Rowe checked her voice modulator. "I sound like them?" "You do," said Virex. "Now remember, we are scientists. We came here to study biology. They called themselves the International Field Research Group. They said they were studying climate change and animal behavior. That was close enough to the truth. They set up a small base near a town called Silverpine. It was small, with only a few hundred people. There was a school, a clinic, a gas station, and a diner where everyone met for coffee and gossip. They needed to get close to the humans. So they started with the sheriff. His name was Derek Harper. He was tall, with a strong build and a slow way of speaking. He wore a badge and carried a gun on his hip. When the aliens introduced themselves, he shook their hands with a firm grip. "You folks need permits?" he asked. Virek smiled. "Already filed with the state office." Derek nodded. "All right then. But if you're going to be around, best get to know the town." That was how they met Megan. She was Derek's daughter. She was 16 with wild, brown hair and sharp eyes. She liked to climb rocks, fix bikes, and ask too many questions. When she saw the new researchers, she wanted to help. "I can show you around," she said. Virex saw an opportunity. "That would be very kind," he said. So, Megan became their guide. She took them hiking through the mountains. She showed them where deer lived, where bears slept in winter, and which plants could be eaten or used to stop bleeding. One day, while walking along a cliff, Clyra slipped. The rock broke under her foot. She screamed and started to fall. Before anyone could react, Megan grabbed her arm. With one hand she held tight, her feet dug into the ground. "Don't let go," Clyra cried. "I won't," Megan said through gritted teeth. A moment later, Zen and Oren pulled Clyra back up. She sat on the ground, shaking. "Why did you do that?" she asked Megan. Megan looked confused. "You were falling. But you didn't think. You just reacted." Megan shrugged. "Yeah, I guess." Later that night, back at the base, the team reviewed the footage. She moved faster than our reflex scans show. said Zen. And her grip strength, added Orin. She pulled Clyra up like she weighed nothing. Virex watched the video. Again. They don't think about danger, he said. They just act. The next day, they visited the local school. There, they met Lena Carter. She was a teacher. She taught biology and sometimes coached the girls' soccer team. She invited them to sit in on her class. As she talked about evolution, Virex listened closely. She told the students that life changes over time, that the strongest survive, that species adapt to their world. Then she said something strange. We humans aren't just shaped by nature, she said. We shape ourselves. We choose what to survive. After class, Virex approached her. You believe humans control their own evolution, he asked. Lena smiled. I do. Every time someone survives something they shouldn't, I see it happen. He thought about that for a long time. Later that week, they went to the clinic. Zen wanted to see how humans healed. They watched a doctor stitch a cut on a man's arm. He didn't cry. He joked with the nurse. Then they saw a woman who had broken her leg. She walked with crutches but still helped cook dinner for her kids, and then there was the boy. He was 7 years old. He had fallen from a tree and cracked his skull, but he was awake, talking, laughing. He'll be fine, the doctor said. Kids bounce back fast. Zen looked at the child. This species heals quickly, lives through pain, learns fast, adapts. He wrote notes. Back at the base, they gathered. What have we learned so far? Virex asked. Clyra spoke first. They take risks without thinking. They jump, climb, fight, and fall, and they keep going. Zen nodded. They heal fast, faster than any species we've studied. Orin added. Their machines are simple, but they make them work in ways we didn't expect. Tali said they talk. A lot. And they tell stories. Even when they're scared. Virex stood up. This species, he said, is not fragile. No one argued. Outside, the wind blew through. The trees. Somewhere in the dark, Megan was climbing again, alone, without ropes, just like always. Here is Jerry's part 3 of your story, written in a third person, using our simple and basic English and kept around 1,000 words. This continues the tale of the Deathworld Council studied human biology, then Shrieked. Part 3, the sample collection. Back at their base near Silverpine, the alien team got to work. They had watched humans for days. Now it was time to study them up close. Virex Soln led the effort. He believed that biology told the truth better than behavior. You could watch a human climb a cliff or pull someone from danger, but to understand what made them do it, you had to look inside. So they began collecting samples. Not by taking blood or skin directly. No needles, no force. That would be too risky. Instead, they used small drones shaped like insects. These machines flew silently through town, picking up bits of hair, skin flakes, and even droplets of sweat left on door handles, water bottles, and benches. Clyra Neth was in charge of sorting the samples. She placed each one into a scanning pod. It looked like a small metal box with glowing lines on the side. Inside, tiny arms moved the samples into testing chambers. What are we looking for? Tali Rowe asked as she watched Clyra work. Signs of weakness, Clyra said. Disease, genetic flaws, anything that shows this species is fragile. Zen Marlowe, the medic, leaned over her shoulder. But if I had to guess, he said, we'll find the opposite. He wasn't wrong. The first test came back fast. Human DNA was not just complex, it was strange. It changed faster than it should. When exposed to stress, some parts of it lit up like warning lights. Not signs of damage, but signs of readiness. They're built to survive, Zen said. Oren Dax, the tech expert, ran more tests. These people have viruses inside them, he said. Old ones. Some are buried deep in their genes. Virex looked at the screen. You mean they carry ancient diseases inside their own bodies? Yes, Oren said. And instead of killing them, those viruses helped shape who they are today. Clyra, frowned. This doesn't make sense, she said. No other species keeps its enemies inside itself. Virex thought for a moment. Maybe, he said. They don't see them as enemies. Later that day, the team went into town again. This time, they visited the local hospital. They walked through the halls like doctors, clipboard in hand, masks on when needed. They took notes, smiled politely, and never stayed too long. In the waste room, where used gloves, gauze, and syringes were thrown away, they found what they needed. Blood-soaked bandages, used needles, even a few vials of leftover blood from routine tests. They didn't take much, just enough. Back at the base, they tested the blood. The results shocked them. Human blood had something none of them had seen before. It carried healing factors, tiny bits of protein that repaired tissue almost instantly. One drop could speed up wound recovery by 10 times. Another sample showed signs of fighting off infections that should have been deadly. Zen stared at the data. This isn't normal, he said. Their bodies don't just heal. They fight back. Tali looked at him. Like warriors? She asked. More like machines, Zen said. Only smarter. Then came the most dangerous mistake. Clyra was handling a swab taken from a child's sneeze. She held it too close. A tiny droplet landed on her glove and then on her skin. Within minutes, she started to feel sick. Her breath became short. Her limbs shook, her body temperature spiked. I think I've been infected, she whispered. Virex rushed over. What did you touch? He asked. A mucus sample from a child, she said. It was just a cold. But to Clyra's body, it was not just a cold. The virus entered her system and attacked her cells. Her immune system tried to fight it, but it was unfamiliar, weak. She needs treatment, Zen said. They gave her a dose of antiviral gel and put her in a healing chamber. Her breathing slowed. Her color returned. But she was scared. That was just a common illness, she said. And it almost killed me. Virex looked at the rest of the team. If their germs can do that to us, he said, imagine what their bodies can do. They sat in silence. Outside, the wind howled through the trees. Inside, the machines beeped softly, running more tests. One screen blinked with new data. Sample ID, EB7 subject, Ethan Blake. Result, abnormal nerve regeneration detected after spinal trauma. Zen read the line again. This man, he said, was paralyzed once. Now his nerves are growing back. How is that possible? Tali asked. It shouldn't be, Zen said. But it is. They continued their work through the night. Another result came in. Sample ID, NJ2 subject, Noah Carter. Result, immune. Response adapted during septic shock. Survival rate 0.004%. Actual outcome, full recovery. Clyra sat up. These people aren't just tough, she said. They change while they're hurt. They evolve, Virex said quietly. No one spoke. Then Tali asked the question none of them wanted to say out loud. If they keep changing like this, what will they become? No one had an answer. But somewhere outside, Megan was climbing. Again, higher than before, without fear, without limits, just like always. Here is Kurt's part 4 about Nog of your story, written in Dana third person, using simple and basic English, and kept around 1,000 words. This continues the tale of the Deathworld Council studied human biology. Then Shrieked, Orc, Part 4, Genetic Anomalies. Back at their hidden base near Silverpine, the alien team worked late into the night. The machines beeped softly as they ran test after test. Inside clear tubes, tiny drops of human blood spun in circles. On glowing screens, lines of genetic code scrolled by like falling stars. Dr. Virex Soln stood over the main console. His eyes were tired, but his mind was wide awake. They had seen strange things so far. Humans who healed fast, who took risks without fear, who lived through pain that would kill others. But now they were seeing something deeper. They were looking into the very code that made a human. Zen Marlowe, the medic, pointed at a screen. This one, he said. Ethan Blake. He was in a car crash years ago, broke his back. Clyra Neth leaned closer. He walks fine now, she said. Yes, Zen said. And not just because of treatment. His nerves grew back, not slowly, not partly. Fully. That's not possible, Tali Rowe whispered. It is, Virex said. With this species, it is. They pulled up more files. Noah Carter had survived septic shock from a small cut on his finger. Most beings would have died within hours. He didn't even go to the hospital until the next day. Another child, named Ava Moore, had recovered from a rare brain infection that should have left her blind. Instead, she could see better than before. These people are not just lucky, Orendak said. They're changing. Not just changing, Clyra added. Improving. Virex looked at the data again. Human DNA was not stable. It was flexible. When under stress, some parts lit up like lights in a storm. Not signs of weakness, but signs of readiness. They don't just survive, he said. They adapt while they're still hurt. Tali frowned. What does that mean? She asked. It means, Virex said, they are built for war. Silence filled the room. Outside, the wind howled through the trees. The forest was dark and cold. Inside, the machines kept working. A new result came up. Sample ID, RM9 subject. Rick Daniels' result. Muscle fibers show increased density and resistance to fatigue. Recovery time reduced by 82%. Possible exposure to extreme training. Zen read the line again. This man, he said, was trained to keep going when others would stop. How? Clyra asked. By choice, Virex said. Humans do this, to themselves. They train to suffer, Oren said. They train to win, Virex corrected. Later that night, they watched video footage taken from a military base nearby. In the video, soldiers ran through mud with heavy packs on their backs. Some had broken bones but kept moving. Others went days without sleep. One man carried another across a field while bleeding from his side. They push past limits, Tali said. Why? So they can face worse, Virex said. He thought of Megan, Derek's daughter. She climbed cliffs alone. She jumped from high places. She tested herself constantly. It wasn't just soldiers, it was all of them. Children played games where they got hurt. Adults lifted heavy weights until they shook. People ran long distances until their bodies gave out. They didn't run from pain. They ran toward it. Zen looked at the screen again. This isn't survival, he said. This is something else. It's evolution, Virex said. But forced, controlled. Tali sat down. If they keep doing this, she said, what happens next? No one answered. Then another alert flashed on the screen. New sample detected. Unknown mutation trigger location. Local high school subject, student. Male symptoms. Increased strength, rapid muscle growth, no known cause. Virex zoomed in on the file. The boy was only 15. He had joined the school weightlifting team 3 months ago. Since then, he had gained muscle faster than normal. His teachers noticed. So did the doctors. But there was no disease. No drugs. Just change. It's happening faster now, Clyra said. Their genes are waking up, Oren added. Virex stared at the screen. We thought we were studying a species, he said. We may be watching the birth of a new kind of life. That night, the team sent a report back to the council. They included the samples, the videos, and the genetic scans. They warned of what they had found. But they also asked a question. What happens when a species learns to evolve on purpose? Far away on the ring-shaped station above a dying sun, the council read the message. One elder turned to Kayla Threx. They are not just survivors, he said. No, she said, they are becoming something else. And somewhere on Earth, Megan stood at the top of a cliff. She looked out at the sky. Stars blinked above her. She smiled. Then she jumped. Wind rushed past her ears. Heart beat loud in her chest. And she landed. Hard. But she stood right back up like always. like every human, like she was meant to fall and rise. Here is Tweet Town Part 5 of your story, written in Town third person, using Tyodoru's simple and basic English beater and kept around Ronder 1,000 words. Whoa. This continues the tale of the Deathworld Council studied human biology. Then Shrieked. Part 5. Behavioral analysis gone wrong. Back at their base near Silver Pine, the alien team reviewed what they had seen so far. They had studied human biology. They had looked into their blood, their genes, their healing powers. But now, Virex Soln wanted to understand something deeper. Why do humans act the way they do? To find out, the team went to a local event, an MMA fight night at the town gym. MMA stands for Mixed Martial Arts. It's when two people hit each other on purpose. The goal is to make the other person give up or fall down. Clyra Neth watched, from the crowd with wide eyes. "This is not a sport," she whispered. "This is war." Virex stood beside her. "To them," he said, "it is both." Two men stepped into the ring. Both were strong. Both had scars. One was tall and thin. The other was short and thick like a wall. The bell rang. They ran at each other and started hitting. Blood flew. People shouted. The floor shook with noise. One man got hurt. His eye swelled. He bled from his nose. But he did not stop. He fought, harder. Zen Marlowe, the medic, watched closely. "That man should be down," he said. "His body is damaged. His nerves should be screaming." "But he keeps going," Taliro said. "Yes," Zen said. "And that makes no sense." The fight ended when one man could not stand. The winner raised his arms. The crowd cheered. Later, Clyra saw the loser being treated. He smiled through broken teeth. "I'll get him next time," he said. She turned to Virex. "They don't fear pain," she said. "They expect it. And they use it." Virex replied. The next day, the team followed Megan and her friends on a hike. They were going up a steep mountain path. The wind was cold. The rocks were loose. Halfway up, a storm came fast. Dark clouds rolled in. Rain fell hard. Thunder cracked across the sky. The group stopped. Megan looked at the others. "We can't go back," she said. "It's too slippery. We have to keep going up." No one argued. They tied ropes together. They helped each other climb. When someone slipped, the others pulled them up. Even though they were scared, they worked as one. From a distance, the aliens watched. Clyra felt a chill, not from the cold, but from what she saw. "These kids are not trained," she said. "They are just normal." "But they survive," Orendak said. "They do more than survive," Virex said. "They lead each other." Zen pointed at Megan. "She does not wait," he said. "She acts." The storm lasted hours. By the time they reached the top, everyone was soaked, tired, and shaking. But they made it. They sat under a rocky overhang and shared food. They laughed, as if nothing had happened. Back at the base, the team played footage. From their hidden cameras, they watched Megan again. How she led the group. How she stayed calm. How she never gave up. Tali looked at the screen. "She's not afraid," she said. "No," Virex said. "She expects danger, and she prepares for it." Oren brought up another file. "This is from a school project," he said. "A student built this robot from old parts." The video showed a boy named Caleb Moore working in a garage. He used broken phones, old batteries, and pieces of metal. In the end, he made a small robot that could move and pick things up. "It's simple," Oren said, "but he made it without help." "He made it because he wanted to," Tali said. "Exactly," Virex said. "Humans don't wait to be told what to do, they do it themselves." Zen looked at the genetic scans again. "If their bodies adapt," he said, "and their minds push forward, then they are not just surviving." "What are they?" Clara asked. "They are evolving," Virex said. Then came a new alert. "Live, feed from the town." A car had crashed on the main road. Smoke rose into the sky. People ran to help before the sirens even sounded. One man pulled a child from the car. Another held pressure on a wound. A woman called for help while tying a shirt around a bleeding arm. The team watched in silence. "This isn't training," Clara said. "This is instinct." "They don't think about danger," Virex said. "They just act." Later that night, the team sent another report to the council. They included the videos, the behavior logs, and the notes on human action. They warned, these beings do not fear death. They face it, learn from it, and rise stronger. And somewhere outside, Megan stood at the edge of a cliff. The moon lit the world below. She took a deep breath. Then she jumped. Wind rushed past her ears, heartbeat loud in her chest. She landed hard, but she stood right back up, like always, like every human, like she was meant to fall and rise. Here is part 6 of your story, written in third person, using simple and basic English, and kept around about 1,000 words. This continues the tale of the Deathworld Council studied human biology, then Shrieked. Mitaram Part 6, The Accidental Revelation. Back at their base near Silverpine, the alien team reviewed what they had seen. They had watched humans fight for fun, climb cliffs with no ropes, walk through storms without fear, and run toward danger, instead of away from it. But Dr. Virex's soul knew they were still missing something. They had studied human biology. They had watched human behavior. Now they needed to understand the heart of this species. So, Virex made a bold move. He decided to go deeper into human society, not just as a researcher, as a guest. He asked permission to visit a military base nearby. The humans believed he was a foreign scientist. That gave him some access, but not much. Then came an unexpected chance. A small event called Defense Day was happening at the base. It was a chance for visitors to see how soldiers trained. Virex went along with Clara and Zen. They wore long coats and carried clipboards. When they arrived, the first thing they saw was the training field. Soldiers ran through mud while being shot at. With blanks, of course. Others climbed walls soaked in fake blood. Some crawled under fire while dragging dummies that looked like wounded friends. Clara watched one soldier fall. He got back up, again and again. She turned to Zen. "They are hurt," she said. Zen nodded. They should be resting. But none of them did. They kept going. Later, they were taken to the simulation room. There, soldiers faced a full attack inside a fake city. Lights flashed. Explosions boomed. Smoke filled the air. One man led his group through the chaos. His name was Captain Rick Daniels. Tall, strong, calm under fire. He moved fast. He gave orders without hesitation. When he was hit, again with dummy rounds, he didn't stop. He ducked behind cover, patched his own arm, then stood up and fired again. Virex watched the whole thing on a screen. "This man," he whispered, "is not afraid." "No," Zen said. "He is ready." After the drill, the soldiers rested. Rick sat alone, drinking water. Virex approached. "You train hard?" Virex said. Rick smiled. "We have to." "Why?" Clara asked before she could stop herself. Rick looked at her. "Because if we don't," he said, "someone else dies." Silence. Then Rick added, "I've seen men lose arms and still fight. I've seen women carry wounded men through fire. We don't wait to get stronger, we become it." Virex thought about Megan, about the kids climbing during a storm, about the fighters who bled for sport. Rick wasn't special. He was normal. That scared Virex more than anything. Later, the team visited the medical tent. There, they saw something strange. A young soldier named Cole had been injured during the drill. His leg was broken, but he was smiling. "I'll be fine," he said. "Been worse." "How often do you get hurt?" Zen asked. Cole shrugged. "Every few weeks." "And you keep fighting?" Cole laughed. "Yeah. What else am I going to do? Sit around waiting to heal?" Zen took notes. This was not just survival. This Was training pain to be part of life? Back at the base, they played footage from the day. They watched Rick again. His calm eyes, his steady hands, his strength even when tired. Then they watched other soldiers. All of them had scars. All of them had stories. None of them stopped. Clyra sat down. "These people," she said, "they build themselves into weapons." "Yes," Virex said. "And not just the soldiers." He showed her videos of civilians, a woman lifting a car off a trapped child, a man running miles to reach a hospital faster, a teenager jumping into icy water to save a dog. "They all do it," Clyra whispered. "They all train," Tally added. "In different ways," Oren said, "but the same way." Virex looked at the final video. It showed a secret test done by the military. A group of soldiers had to survive a fake nuclear blast. No warning, no gear, just instinct. They found shelter, made tools, found clean food and water. They lived, not just survived, lived. Zen stared at the data. "These men," he said, "were not born this way. They became this way," Virex said. Clyra looked scared. "If they keep doing this," she said, "what happens next?" Virex didn't answer, because he already knew. They were watching a species become something new, something built for any world, any war, any future. Outside, the wind blew. Somewhere far away, Megan stood at the edge of another cliff. She looked up, at the stars. Then she jumped. Wind rushed past her ears. Heart beat loud in her chest. She landed hard, but she stood right back up. Like always, like every human, like she was meant to fall and rise. Here is part 7 of your story, written in on third person, using on simple and basic English, and kept around 1,000 words. This continues the tale of the Deathworld Council studied human biology. Then Shrieked. What are part 7? The Council reacts. Far out in space above a dying red sun, the Deathworld Council gathered again. Their station floated like a dark ring around the star. Inside, each member sat in their own pod, filled with thick liquid that kept them alive. Their voices came through speakers translated into all languages at once. Dr. Virex Soln stood on the center platform, surrounded by glowing screens. He had returned from Earth to deliver his full report. Behind him, videos played. Humans fighting for sport, climbing cliffs barehanded, walking through storms without fear, saving strangers even when it hurt them. "This species," Virex said, "is unlike any we have studied." Clyra Neth stood beside him. She held a small device that showed genetic scans. "They are not just strong," she added. "They change while they suffer. They grow faster, smarter, and tougher." A deep voice spoke from one of the pods. "You mean to say," said Elder Tharn, "they evolve while still alive?" "Yes," Virex said, "and not slowly, like most life forms, fast, in real time." Silence filled the room. Then Kayla Threx, the leader of the council, leaned forward. "We have watched this world for centuries," she said. "We thought it was unstable, a failed planet." She looked at the screen. "But now we see something else." Another video started playing. It showed a man named Caleb Moore. He was not a soldier or a fighter, just a normal guy. But he had done something strange. In a viral video, he was seen pulling a car off a trapped child. His face was red with effort. His arms shook, his back bent under the weight, but he lifted it, and he did not stop until the child was safe. The feed cut. Silence. Then another video played. This one showed Megan Harper, Derek's daughter, standing on top of a cliff. Wind blew her hair. Her eyes were calm. She jumped. No rope, no parachute. Just rock and sky. She landed hard, then stood up. Like nothing had happened, Elder Tharn clicked his jaw. "These beings do not fear death," he said. "They invite it." Virex nodded. "They train for danger. They seek pain. And they come back, stronger every time." One of the council members, a tall being covered in plates of bone, asked a question. If they keep growing like this, he said, what happens when they leave their world? No one answered. Because no one wanted to. Say what they all knew. Clara stepped forward. I will tell you, she said. They survive. And then, asked another voice, they conquer. More silence. Zen Marlowe, the medic, brought up more data. These people carry viruses inside them, he said. Germs that should kill us. One breath of their air could bring disease to our worlds. He paused. But worse than that, he said. Their bodies learn from pain. If they fight us, they will adapt. Oren Dax, the tech expert, added more. Their machines are simple, he said, but they use them in ways we didn't expect. They make tools out of trash. They fix broken things and make them better. Tali Rowe, the linguist, looked at the crowd. They don't wait to be told what to do, she said. They act. Alone. Together. Always moving. Kayla stared at the screen. They are not waiting to be ready, she said. They are already becoming. Then came the final part of the report, live footage from a hidden camera. It showed a military base far from Silverpine. There, a new test was underway. A group of soldiers had been placed in a sealed area. It was made to look like a war zone. Fires burned. Smoke filled the air. Explosions echoed. The goal? Survive. No help. No rules. Just instinct. The soldiers moved fast. They worked together. They used whatever they could find. Sticks, rocks, pieces of metal to protect themselves and each other. One man led the group, Captain Rick Daniels. Again, he gave orders. Protected the weak, fought off threats. When the test ended, he was covered in sweat and blood. But he smiled. I'm ready for the next one, he said. The screen went black. Elder Tharn clicked again. They build warriors, he said. On purpose. Virex stepped forward. They do not call it building warriors, he said. They call it living. Kayla looked at the rest of the council. We must decide, she said. Do we watch longer or do we act? One elder spoke. If we wait too long, he said, we may not have a choice. Clyra looked scared. What if we're wrong? She whispered. Virex looked at her. We're not, he said. We're just late. Outside in the cold dark of space, the station drifted. Inside, the council debated. Somewhere far away, on Earth, Megan stood at the edge of a cliff. She looked at the stars. Then she jumped. Wind rushed past her ears. Heart beat loud. In her chest, she landed hard, but she stood right back up like always, like every human, like she was meant to fall and rise. Here is Part 8 of your story, written in the third person on Sci-Fi, using all simple and basic English, and kept around 1,000 words. This continues the tale of the Deathworld Council studied human biology, then Shrieked. Part 8. The Final Test. Back on Earth, the alien team prepared for their most dangerous move. They had watched humans from a distance. They had studied their biology, their behavior, and even their soldiers. But now they needed to see something no one had seen before. How would humans act if something truly dangerous happened? Not a game. Not a drill. A real threat. Virex Soln gave the order. Project Echo 7 was about to become Project Firestorm. The plan was simple. Create a small, controlled disaster in a remote area near Silverpine, a biotoxin leak. It wasn't deadly, at least not to humans, but it could make them sick. Slow them down, push them into chaos. The toxin was released at night. It came from a small drone hidden in the forest. It let out a fine mist that mixed with the wind and spread through the valley. By morning, the town knew something was wrong. People started coughing. Some felt dizzy. Animals acted strange. But then, something else happened. People didn't panic. They moved fast. Derek Harper, Megan's father, and the town sheriff organized a response within minutes. He used his radio to call for help. He told people to stay inside. He set up a command post outside the school. At the clinic, doctors got to work. Lena Carter, the biology teacher and part-time nurse, took charge. She checked symptoms, gave medicine, and sent updates to bigger hospitals nearby. Outside, volunteers rushed in. Men and women who weren't trained medics grabbed gloves and masks. They helped carry supplies. They cooked food for those still working. Even kids joined in. Megan and her friends went house to house checking on the old and the sick. They made sure everyone had water and medicine. All this in just a few hours. From their hidden base, the aliens watched everything. Clyra Neth stared at the screen. "They're helping each other," she whispered. "They don't even know how." "Bad it is," Tallyro said, "and they're already fighting back." Zen Marlowe looked at the data coming in. "This toxin should affect their lungs," he said. "But look, some of them are showing resistance." Orendax zoomed in on a soldier from the nearby military base. "He walked right into the center of the leak," Oren said. "He's taking samples, he's not wearing full gear." "And he's fine," Clyra added. Zen studied the blood scans again. "It's changing," he said. "Their bodies. They're adapting." "You mean they're becoming immune?" Virex asked. "Yes," Zen said. "Already." Virex looked back at the footage. Volunteers were still moving, doctors still working, people still helping. None of them ran away. None of them gave up. Outside, Megan carried a bag of medicine across the snow-covered road. Her face was red from the cold. Her eyes were sharp. She handed the bag to an older woman. "Are you okay?" Megan asked. "I'm fine," the woman said. "Go help someone else." Megan nodded. She ran off without looking back. Back at the base, the team kept watching. More reports came in. Survivors showed signs of improved immunity. Blood tests showed new proteins forming, built to fight the toxin. Then came a message from the military. One of their teams had gone into the affected zone. One man had been exposed longer than others. He was already showing signs of recovery. Zen read the report again. "This shouldn't be possible," he said. "This toxin mutates as it spreads. Most species can't keep up. But humans do," Tali said. "They expect change," Virex said, "and they use it." Later that day, word reached the council. Live Feed from Earth played on the big screen. It showed images of people walking into danger, volunteers wearing only masks and gloves, doctors treating the sick with calm hands, and then, the final blow. Video of Megan again. This time she was standing next to a child who had fallen during the outbreak. The child's arm was scraped, bleeding. Megan helped him up. No gloves, no mask. She touched him with bare hands, then she stood up and smiled. "She's not afraid," Clyra said. "She never is," Virex replied. Kayla Threx, leader of the council, stared at the screen. "This isn't survival," she said. "No," Elder Tharn agreed. "This is war." Another elder spoke. "If we wait much longer," he said, "we may not be able to stop them." Silence filled the room. Then Clyra looked at the others. "We thought we were studying a species," she said. "We are watching the birth of something else. What do we do?" someone asked. No one answered, because deep down they all knew. There was nothing they could do. Somewhere far away on Earth, Megan stood at the edge of another cliff. The wind blew hard. Snow fell around her. She looked up at the sky. Then she jumped. Wind rushed past her ears, heart beat loud in her chest. She landed hard, but she stood right back up, like always, like every human, like she was meant to fall and rise.